Welcome back to the Student Hub Live. In this session, we're going to talk about where you can get support for your studies. Now, you've already been doing a lot of things and you've already been supporting each other in the chat, which is wonderful to see. And peer support is one of the most important things that can really get you through and make you feel less isolated as well. But there might be some questions that you'd like to know, but equally, if you're just starting out, you might not know what you don't yet know. So we're going to tell you about some of the various options and ways that the Open University can support you. So to discuss this, I'm joined by Rebecca Pugh and Joseph Araya. Now, Rebecca, you work in our student support team, and Joseph, you're a tutor. So these are the two sort of key and often initial areas of support that students would go to. So Rebecca, can I start by talking about the student support team, which just sounds wonderful, but what's that all about then?
So there's a whole team of people who specialise in providing support to students. We've got an access-specific student support team who know all about how the access modules work, and they deal every day with students who perhaps need a little bit of help, a little bit of guidance. It might be that things have gone a bit wrong, perhaps fallen behind a little bit, or there's something happened in your life that's getting in the way of your studies. And the student support team are specialists in helping you to talk through those issues and find some solutions to help you move forward.
Yeah, they're really friendly. I've had quite a lot of people here in my time. And the one thing I really like is that, you know, whether you want to phone them up, and they're open often like on a Saturday morning and they've got late evenings and things, you can call and have a chat and they can talk through the various options. And it's so nice then when you've got specialists on things like access, they might know that, you know, there are certain lines of progression that might be more appropriate or less appropriate. They know the tricks of the trade as well, and how to, you know, make the most for students there. And they're a really good listening ear.
That's right, yeah. So as you mentioned, the student support team's available from 8 in the morning till 8 in the evening. Yeah. You can also email at any time and somebody will pick up that email and respond to you as soon as possible. So there's always somebody available. Whatever it is you're struggling with, there's always somebody that you can talk to.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely brilliant. The other thing that's important is the whole tutor relationship, and Access is really lovely and special because we have a one-to-one system. So we've seen that a lot of people here are brand new to the OU, but because Access is a very special place, we like to have that initial high contact and level of support with tutors. And then at level 1, things change a little bit as you become, you know, slightly more independent as a learner. You might need slightly less support. Joseph, how does that sort of one-to-one contact work with the students from your tutor perspective?
Yeah, being an OU student is actually unique because you have a really close relationship with your tutor. They are accessible not only during when they are tutoring you, but also beyond that. And they use variety of modes to talk to you. I mean, they could use a phone, which is one-to-one, like in the access modules, or they would be on a tutor group forum. This is like an online message board where any comments they put will be left there, so you can comment at your own time. And then they also have another way of speaking will be like online tutorials, which you can not only get along with your tutor, but also with other peer students. And it really creates a nice atmosphere. So the key thing is that the tutors are there to support you, and they are accessible, and you should feel no fear at all asking them anything related with your study, because really we are paid to do that with you.
But the one thing that they absolutely do not use is telepathy.
Yes, absolutely. We haven't reached that yet.
No.
But the key thing is they really want you to ask, and there is no harm and no pressure asking anything related about your study, because as tutors, in fact, most of your tutors have been through the same system, and they know that, you know, it's not only your study, but there could be other factors, whether it is technology or whether it is facilities or whether it is anything to do beyond your studies that is affecting you. So do get in touch. But as Karen said, yeah, we still haven't reached telepathy yet.
So if you don't ask, you don't get. I mean, the other important thing to note is that while tutors are available, they often have other roles. They might work at another university or in a healthcare setting or at a huge range of places. So typically, they normally get back to students quite quickly, but normally we sort of say about 24 hours. Sometimes, you know, if people send an email, they can think, oh no, I haven't had a reply, what's going on here? But the tutors work part-time for the Open University, and they look after quite a nice small group of students, so that you have enough time to get to know them if you want to, your tutor, but equally, you know, they also have other things going on.
Yes, indeed. In fact, you'll be interested to know that many of your tutors, for example, some of them are actually into the profession. For example, if they are teaching creative writing, some of them are writers. So it actually gets you the bonus of having real experts tutor you. But that does mean that occasionally they might not be available, let's say, within like next hour or next minute, but they do try their best, and there is always a student support team if something gets urgent.
Really urgent, yeah. No, absolutely. Okay. Now we've asked people at home, do they know how to contact their student support team? Most of them do. But we'll actually show you the slide as well again, just if you haven't seen it before. So we were talking about where to find that from the VLE, the virtual learning environment. And here you can see on your Access module, there's a tab for student support team, so you can get the details there. We've also been asking if they found out who their tutor will be. So some people have, most students have, but some people haven't. But most interesting is the kind of support that students think they might need in their study. So let's see what our Wordle says. Just getting that ready for you. So we've got study skills here, which is a key thing. Dyslexia, books. So those are the key words that a lot of people are agreeing with. Mental health is very common. Supports from students, dyslexia, stress, careers help, academic writing, writing essays, transcripts, guidance, disability support, advice, reading materials, referencing, encouragement, biscuit allowance. Yes, that's that's fairly subjective, I think.
Somebody after my own heart there.
Do you want to feedback on any of those various things?
Yeah, definitely. I think lots of the things that came up in that word cloud then, things like dyslexia, mental health issues, the student support team can absolutely help with all of those things. I think the most important thing to say is that we need to know about that. If you've got any kind of condition that might possibly impact on your studies, it's really good to talk to the student support team about that. If you tell us up front, there's lots of support that we can put in place for you. It might be that you need alternative format materials, it might be that you need a little bit more time for your assignments, and we can help with those things, but obviously we need to know that that's what you need.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's also important to recognise that things can be variable, particularly with things like mental health. Sometimes you can be having a great week, month, day, sometimes not so good, and it's okay that those things change and shift in your journey.
Absolutely, and the student support team deals with these kinds of issues all the time, so there's nothing that we haven't heard before, and so as long as you come and tell us about it or talk to your tutor about it, we can be flexible and find ways to make that work for you.
Yeah. So Rachel is interested in the biscuit allowance, HJ and George.
I'm interested in that as well.
Very interested in that.
The problem is, I think I'll go through my annual allowance in about a week of studying, which isn't any good at all. But we've got loads of great chat coming through. It's great to see everyone being so positive. So Babish said, I have a 4-year-old and a 16-month-old, and it's been so long since I studied last, but I did 3 hours yesterday and it felt great. Yes. And Peter's studying YO32, new to university education. I'm really looking forward to learning. And Peter's goal is to work to be a mentor to children and young people, which is absolutely amazing. And it's nice to hear from Sean as well. Sean said, I'm studying with a disability and the people on the phone have helped me out so much already. I can't wait to get started.
Following on from that, there's been a couple of queries in the chat box about people who are unsure about filling in the paperwork to do with a disabled student allowance or a DSA. And as Rebecca was talking about, your student support team will really be able to help you there. So if you've got any queries about a DSA, form filling or how to get that sorted, then the best people to talk to are your student support team. But as HA said, there's so much enthusiasm on the forum. It's lovely. Joseph has been losing sleep with nerves, but now he's feeling full of energy, which is wonderful. We've got David, who's a head gardener from Bristol who hasn't studied for 30 years, but is feeling really, really enthused. But the biscuit allowance is pretty much taking centre stage.
Well, I think you need to think about the biscuit allowance and whether or not that's over the 30 weeks of the module or the annual year.
Maybe we need to put some little biscuit pictures on the snail diagram.
People do that to motivate themselves, I've heard. Not me. Okay, great. So, this is a really proportionate sort of word cloud, I guess, of a lot of the issues that students have here as well with us as they're starting to study. And the one thing that we haven't sort of talked about is the study skills. Now, at Student Hub Live, we've got lots of workshops that you can come to if you'd like additional support with things like essay writing and stuff like that, time management. So it'd be great to see you there. You can just visit the Student Hub Live website and book your place on one of those workshops. But all of the way that the modules are designed is to scaffold learning so that, you can start at day one, week one, with no prior knowledge. So David, our head gardener in Bristol, can feel quite confident that we'll teach him everything that he needs to know about those skills, and the tutor will feed back on the work. And maybe then if there's something that you're not quite getting, or you think, I don't really understand the way that this is sort of written here, you can talk to your tutor about those things, can't you?
Yes, indeed. In fact, we all have some kind of life experience and skills which you learned. Like David, our head gardener, probably knows his geometry and area calculations much better than anyone else. And he could use that as a strength to do his maths. So your tutor will be helping you draw out your skills and use them so that it will be useful to your studies. So there is no experience that wouldn't come handy, and your tutor is the best placed person to help you get through that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, it's okay, there's a lot of talk about worries in the chat, and everyone has worries. Let's see what some of the worries are that people are concerned about. Failing is the biggest one. Time, referencing, academic writing, not keeping up, not doing my best, not having time, citations, workload, being stupid, adjusting, retraining, information, failing, tutor, note-taking, not studied for ages, not getting things, not keeping up. Gosh, there's a lot of things here, but so many things in common. Being a mature student. I mean, I hope that everyone at home is feeling like they're not alone now, because sometimes you can take a lot of these worries, and then when you meet other people, you can think, actually, there are loads of people just like me, aren't there?
I was really pleased to hear Michelle on the forum, who was saying that she's finally doing something for her and gaining our identity again, instead of just being a mum. And I think if you're a mum, you can totally relate to that. So I think that's a lovely thing to say. And sort of at the other end of the spectrum, Jennifer is currently watching with a 10-month-old banging her keyboard. So we think that he or she wants to learn as well, which is particularly lovely. But I think the thing about fears is that the most important thing that all of these students have got in common is confidence and enthusiasm, and they're here. They've taken the step, and they're all together. There's really nothing that you can do that's wrong. You can't break this module. You can't do anything. You'll never be that silly. It's just about having a go, knowing that there are people there to support you, and trying your best.
And Julia says she believes in every single one of us, which is great. But Julia, I hope that most of all you believe in yourself, because we see so many students starting their access modules like this. And some of you might make a learning plan and think about where you want to get to at the end of the module. And at the end of that module, it's so lovely to see people saying, I've now got confidence, I've learned so much. And the one thing I personally feel about access and the modules is that if you put your heart into it and you really try hard and you work with your tutor, it's very, 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 very likely that you will succeed. So Joseph, how can students then work with their tutor? Because sometimes people who are worried about failing and things might think, oh gosh, they're going to think I'm really stupid, I'm not going to talk to them about this assignment. And actually the best way of passing and working and developing skills is to really talk to your tutor and work on what you need to develop as a learner individually.
Yes, indeed. It is all doable. In fact, there is a tendency sometimes fear kind of paralyzes you, but it's not the case. In fact, one of the reasons I really tutor is because of all the positive feedback I get at the end of the module. Students may struggle with time, students may struggle with difficult topics, but actually the key thing is in the end one gets through. So you just have to keep persevering, and your tutors are in the right place to support you and encourage you. And I haven't yet come across a student who has failed because of not learning, but more has to do because of fear. And I really encourage you to carry on and persevere, and pass grades are all over a range, and most of students I have worked with go through that. So the only thing you have to fear is fear itself, as a wise man said.
Yeah. And somebody said to me yesterday, the thing that they most wished that they hadn't done was stress so much, because he said, actually, when I look back, all of the stressing I did, all of the worrying I did achieved absolutely nothing. And so it's okay to have those worries and stuff, but actually there's a limit to how helpful they're going to be when, perhaps just picking up the phone to your tutor or your student support team might be a better option than struggling on your own.
Definitely. And a lot of those things in the word cloud that people were worrying about, the access modules are totally designed to help you learn those things, you know, the referencing skills, how to write an assignment, academic writing. The whole point of Access modules is to prepare you for all of those things. So by the time you get to the end of it, you'll be sailing through all of that, and there really is nothing to worry about.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, I think we should also be positive about stuff, because we've been asking students what they're most excited about. So let's take a look at that word cloud and see what you're happy about. So learning is the best thing, meeting people, also getting a lot of love, getting started, meeting new people, seeing tutors, new things, being a student, succeeding, starting, future job prospects, meeting new friends, finding things out, completing, chatting, the assessments. Excellent. People are excited about the assessments. They're loads of fun. Learning new skills, a broader outlook, a new experience, self-improvement, greater knowledge, confidence building, the studying time for me. So there are amazing things here about some of the stuff that people are going to learn for themselves, the connections they're going to make, and also, very importantly, this shift in mindset, because once you start studying, you start looking at the world in a different way. You can start organising your time. You can feel a great sense of empowerment.
Definitely. And I think what was nice about that was the idea of making connections, meeting people, sharing ideas. And we really tried to provide those opportunities on the Access modules by having the forums where you can chat with other students. Obviously, you build a great relationship with your tutor. It's you know, the one-to-one telephone tutorials allow you to really develop quite a close relationship with your tutor. You get to know each other quite well, and those tutorials are really tailored to what each individual student needs, which I think is a real strength of the Access modules.
Now let's just end by talking about support from friends and family and peers, because people have been saying that this is a key thing, and it's absolutely great. So one of the places, in addition to places like the Student Hub Live, people can go is the forums, and we've talked a little bit about that. But there are also other, I guess, non-OU moderated spaces. Some people set up Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, etc. Now those aren't things that we get involved with. What are they all about, and when are they useful and when are they not?
So lots of students, when they start a module, want to be able to chat with their peers, and one of the ways that they do that is by creating their own spaces.
People are confused about how to join the WhatsApp groups. I mean, we don't know because we don't set them up.
the things like WhatsApp and Facebook are not moderated by the Open University at all. So we moderate the forums, and there'll be OU staff able to answer questions and things there, but other groups like Facebook and WhatsApp are a space just for students.
And if anyone does want to, email us, then that's okay. You can email studenthub@open.ac.uk, but please don't put any personal details or phone numbers in the chat, because you never know, someone might phone you up and demand the answers to the TMA questions or all sorts of things. So just bear in mind that phone numbers and personal information shouldn't go in that chat, please, for now. Okay, so people set up these groups. They can be a really nice space for certain things, like community, or thinking, oh, I'm studying at 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm really, really finding it difficult. And they can be brilliant for that. But I've heard some students say, actually, this thing kept pinging and I was overwhelmed, and Sally down the road's already done her 3 TMAs and she hasn't even started the module. And, you know, those sort of things can be a bit unnerving for certain people. And I've heard some people sort of say, actually, I joined them and then I stepped away because I just couldn't deal with the sort of barrage of stuff. Other people have said it was my absolute lifeline and I really liked having people there.
Yeah, different things work for different people, and I would say if you're finding the unmoderated Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups a bit overwhelming, just step away from them. You don't have to engage with that if you don't want to. If you're finding it useful, great, but if you're not, don't feel obliged. It's whatever works for you.
Yeah, indeed, the Open University's moderated forums are probably where you can find credible information. So do use those. But if you find something else somewhere which is helpful, use it. But keep in mind that anything, the real guidance is with the OU and with your tutor. So just keep an advice.
Brilliant. And the one thing I'd like to end on by saying is don't forget about your friends and family. Whilst I've heard many a potential get-out clause of, oh, but I don't know anything about that particular subject area, actually your cat or your partner or your friend are often a really great person to talk to and say, let me explain this thing I've been reading about. And articulating your ideas and things can be a really nice way of making sense of them and letting other people know what you're studying about as well. So don't forget that they're a great source of support also. Well, thank you both so much for coming along. It's all we've got time for right now, but we've got got a Q&A session at the end, so do keep those questions coming, and we'll specifically dedicate some time to anything we haven't covered at the end of the show. We're now going to show you another video, Lauren and Lida, some other Access students we're going to introduce you to, and then we're going to take a look at making the most of online study. So I'll be back for that next session in just a minute.